Have you ever felt stuck, like you're just going through the motions in life or work and thought to yourself, is this really all there is? If you've had that feeling, you are so not alone. I've been there more than once. Times when I felt bored, uninspired, or unsure if I would ever dream a new dream. But here's what I've learned. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. In fact, sometimes the best chapters begin after 50. Today, you're going to meet a woman who made a bold pivot in her 50s from a long career in accounting to becoming a certified personal trainer. She's 60 now and living a full life of purpose and energy. If you've ever felt like you missed your moment or secretly longed to do something totally different, this conversation is for you. I met Leslie Young at a special event at the YMCA where she works and I serve on the board. And when I heard her story, I knew I had to share it. Leslie got her degree in accounting from the University of Southern California and became a CPA and worked for some of the biggest firms in the industry. But after stepping away to raise 3 children, she began a whole new journey. Today, we're going to unpack how she did it, what she learned, and how she's thriving in her 60s. So welcome, Leslie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were willing to do this, and because I think your story is super compelling for just about any woman who's just saying, what's next for me in my 50s or 60s? But let's go back very much to kind of the beginning. Okay. How did you start? You know, you chose accounting, you studied accounting. Tell me about why you chose that, and was it for passion or practicality or other reasons?
I think it was practicality. My dad really encouraged me to do it because I would always be able to find a job. It's very secure. I did enjoy the detail work, so yeah.
Yeah. Was there something ever that you thought you might want to do instead of that?
Thought about being a dietitian. I thought about being a physical therapist.
This was all like when you were in college.
In college.
And you kept hearing the dad voice saying,
yeah.
You know, you do something practical.
Yeah. You know, really did kind of like the accounting courses I took, so I just went with it.
Yeah, well, why not? You know, if it's working, it's okay. But was there any hint for you early on that maybe someday you would want to change your direction?
You know, not really until I started working a little more and found that the type of work was very stressful, demanding. And so I did start to think, well, maybe there is something different, but I was well into my career by then.
And so did you feel like, oh, I can't pivot now, it's too late for me?
A little bit.
Yeah. Now you mentioned early on that you were thought about dietitian, which is sort of in the direction that you've gone, but and physical therapy you mentioned. So where did that inspiration come from early in your life?
Well, I always enjoyed I liked running, I liked sports, you know, mostly, you know, just kind of being physically active. I also like cooking at home. My mom taught me, you know, how to bake and all that stuff. So there are a lot of good memories from that.
Yeah.
So
well, one of the things that I think is really important for people to see in your experience is that oftentimes the things that we're passionate about show up early in our lives. We may not pursue it at the time, but if somebody's asking themselves, you know, do I want to pivot? Going back to some of those early memories and asking yourself, what did you dream about? What did you think about? What alternatives did you consider at a younger age would be helpful for them? And so in those early years, did you feel fulfilled? Were you restless? Or how did you feel about the whole thing?
You know, I was really tired. I was working a lot, a lot of hours, very stressed. But, you know, it's one of those things where you're just working and you're so focused on work and just getting through that it's hard to step back and kind of examine, you know, what else.
Well, we're going to get into that because it's the stepping back that is needed in order for a pivot to happen.
Right.
And I think sometimes that's easier said than done. So, you know, let's go on to those transition years. So Leslie, I know that you are not an accountant any longer and not a practicing accountant, but what led you to step away from the accounting career?
Family.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
2 are twins. Because I have twins and an older one, and I had 3 under 3 years old.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was a lot, and you know, my husband was traveling a lot, so we made the choice that I should stay home and just take care of the kids because it was a lot.
Yeah. Were you doing consulting at all during that time?
I did a little bit. We were living in Seattle, and so I was able to, I had some connections with places I had worked at, and so I just did some consulting on the side, and but it was still difficult.
But you kept your toe in the accounting at that point.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. And so then, you know, as you moved into motherhood a little bit more, did you finally just say no more to the accounting? What happened there?
So when we moved to the Bay Area, that's when I decided not to work anymore or outside of the home.
Yeah.
And I started volunteering for the.
Did you do anything at all during that period in the direction of exercise/personal training?
Not really. So I did, you know, I joined the Y. I started going to group fitness classes. Really enjoyed that. Got just, you know, made friends there, and it's just really very fulfilling.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the energy. And was doing that for a while, and then one of the directors at the Y at that time suggested that I try getting certified to teach one of the programs.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That must have been a real honor when that happened.
Yeah, it was exciting and frightening.
Yeah. Now, did you were you thinking in that direction at all, or was it that person that asked you about it?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about being an instructor.
Yeah.
But she said, you know,
You've got what it takes.
yeah, she said my form was good. I seem to have this, you know, innate
The energy.
thing. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you had these early interests. Now you're pursuing something, exercise that you love, and that came through, and somebody identified that, and that was the spark. And see, I really do think it's important for people watching this to see that there's a through line here.
Yeah.
That these things happened for a reason, that you
Right.
had set that up without even knowing it.
Yeah.
It's already in you. It was in you before it even happened.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is talk about the turning point, what turned you into a personal trainer. It's really exciting that somebody approached you and said, hey, you know, you should do this. But you said you were a little scared.
Yeah.
So what did you do? How did you pursue that first certification? What was it?
So it was Les Mills Core. Which
What is that?
it's a 30-minute core program, and it's pretty tough. And yeah, she had me teaching before I had done the training in front of people, and
Yeah.
so that's frightening. You know,
Yes,
getting up there, you
indeed.
have to have confidence. It's all choreographed to music, so I'm trying my best to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you were scared. And how did you overcome that fear?
You know, she encouraged me, and then you go to a training, a formal training with a master trainer and other people who are in the same boat. I was the oldest person in the room.
Welcome to that club.
Yeah, but that was okay. I mean, so what I did was I honed into my skill of cueing. I am really good at cueing.
In other words, telling the people in the class or helping them understand what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. I was able to talk and do at the same time. And
Yeah.
so I just kind of went with that rather than just brute strength or, you know, any of that.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that's really what it is, right? I've been in classes where the teacher didn't know how to count in music.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a musical training, you know, it drives you crazy.
Right.
And so you then took a whole bunch of other certifications. So what's interesting is that sometimes somebody said, you should do this, teach this Les Mills course. But you did that, and that was just a baby step. So what did you do after that? Why did you do it?
So I went on. I certified in body pump next, and which is different. But because I had the cueing skills built with the first one, this one actually seemed easier for me. And then after that, I did body attack, which is really hard. I mean, it's a very hard program, but I had the other things.
You know, were those certifications like through some official organization, or is it Les Mills? Like, what's the?
It's Les Mills, and they're based out of New Zealand.
Yeah, okay. And so then after you got all those Les Mills certifications so you could teach at the Y, then you became a personal trainer, right? And so, and then a certified dietitian, if I'm not mistaken?
Nutritionist.
Nutrition coach, sorry. Yeah. And so tell me about that. So you had these Les Mills certifications. What led you to decide to become a personal trainer, and what's involved in that?
So my decision to become a personal trainer was I felt like I needed more knowledge behind the teaching. So like then I can tell people why they're doing something, the right form, you know, how to correct people. And yeah, so that, because I felt like I just didn't have that base.
Yeah.
So what I did was I went to Foothill College.
Wow.
And took personal training, assessment, and nutrition, sports nutrition. And then at the same time, I did NASM.
NASM stands for?
National Academy of Sports Medicine. I took their course and certification test.
Wow. And so when you started this, I mean, did you envision it going this far? And did you think that it was going to turn into a job for you?
Not really. I just kind of went with the flow. You know, it's like, oh, well, why not? You know, why not? Why not do it? So,
yeah. I mean, I think that's how a lot of things happen in life. Honestly, something lights a spark, you get started, and pretty soon you're hooked, and it just flows from there. And I think that's part of the sort of the model for a pivot in life. It's not like, oh, today I'm an accountant and tomorrow I'm a you know, a nutritionist, or I'm a personal trainer. It's a process of getting you hooked in. And I think that's an important lesson for people. It's not just, you know, hit you overhead and now you're something new.
Right.
And so let's go on to you know, what went on from there. So now you have all these certifications. Did you think it was going to turn into a job?
No. I mean, well, I didn't know it would go to the depth that it has.
Yeah. Well, how many hours a week are you working right now?
About 20.
20?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for people that are working full time, that sounds like paradise, right?
Right. Yeah.
And is it flexible?
It is. I have control over, like, you know, when I book the clients, although I have to work with their schedules too.
Yes,
so,
indeed. Well, of course, you'd have to do that with any kind of consulting kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But how is that different from what you experienced in the traditional work world?
Oh gosh, very different. In the traditional work world, I felt like I had zero control. I mean, I had to show up certain time, be dressed up, you know, all that, and very, you know, you leave at a certain time. Here, I'm much more flexible. I can run home, get a few things done, run back, see my clients, or teach my class. Yeah. So
now, in terms of just how you feel day to day, you know, having that flexibility, of course, is crucial. But feeling how you feel day to day and doing that work that you're doing now versus what you did before, how has it changed your view of work, or your, you know, how much time you're willing to put into it, or just how has it changed you?
Work doesn't feel like work because I love it. It's so fun. I mean, I think the most, I'm really happy, and I get up in the morning, I'm glad to go to work, love seeing my clients, love seeing the members in class. I mean, it's just so fun. And I didn't think I would have something like this, especially now at this age, you know, but there's really, it's just hard to describe.
That's a wonderful feeling that it was sort of unexpected from that moment that you just had someone suggesting you take a certification. How would you say that this change, this sort of career pivot, has changed you as a person?
Well, I would say I'm very observant and a pretty good listener now. I think I've slowed down a bit just to be more thoughtful about things I do, because I'm really 100% into wellness now. So,
wow.
Like nutrition, what I eat, what I tell people about health. I do a lot of reading at home, you know, research, because there's so much out there that,
Well, I would definitely want to ask you some questions about wellness towards the end of the interview. But it's wonderful how this pivot has been so good for you and probably, for your family as well. It sounds like the transition to becoming a personal trainer has been really good for you personally. Mm-hmm. But I think every transition has its challenges. And so, what's the kind of hardest thing you've had to deal with in making this change?
I think studying for the exam is a proctored exam, and that I remember having a stack of index cards like this, writing them down. My daughter's looking at me and I'm studying all the anatomy. You have to know all your anatomy, everything.
Now, is that for the personal training course?
Yeah, exam, the
that's
certification.
Serious thing.
Yeah. And then there was a corrective exercise specialty that I did that was even harder. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to pass.
Oh.
But I did.
Well,
barely
congratulations.
on that one. But yeah, it was like just the studying. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I am too old for this. But
and what kept you going?
I don't like to quit. I just like to keep going, and it was worth it.
Yeah, you know what I gotta say. I mean, I think maybe you're not a baby boomer. I'm a baby boomer, but you're just on the cusp, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, our generation is used to working hard. Yeah. That's what we do.
That's true.
Oh, anyway, but you mentioned your daughter kind of chuckling at you. How did your family react to this whole pivot of yours?
They were pretty supportive. I mean, I think the kids were like, oh, Mom's doing this. Okay, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
And then, when I passed the exam, they're like, oh, okay. Well, we'll see if, but they see me at the Y going to work, and they're like, wow.
Yeah,
that's
proud
pretty
of
cool.
You.
Yeah.
Good. That's what we want. Absolutely. I mean, you're not around as much as you probably were, but they don't need you as much now.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, were there ever any moments where you thought, wow, I'm crazy. Why am I doing this at 50X?
Yeah. I mean, there were times where I was pretty tired.
Yeah.
And teaching those classes it's pretty demanding. Mm-hmm. There was a time where I was, driving all over the place teaching classes, and I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But driving around was pretty tiring.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know people that do that type of work find that is difficult, and it's much easier if you can kind of stay in one place. Mm-hmm. Is there something that you wish you had known before you started in this journey?
Probably not to stress as much as I did about, the exam. I did just fine. It's like I just worked myself up beforehand, and maybe I could have calmed down a little bit, taking a little more.
I don't know. Sometimes a little stress is good because it forces you to up your game. Mm-hmm. But then there's a point when it becomes counterproductive.
Yeah.
And that's tough. So, I'm 64, you're 60, but people our age, a lot of them, especially if they've been working full time, are really ready to retire, or they're retiring. And here you are kind of starting over in ways. What do you think about that? What do you just figure you're just going to do this till you're 80, or what do you think?
I think I'm going to keep going. I think it keeps me young, just having to think about all these things, research, teaching, to music. I mean, you really have to keep your brain alive, and remembering choreography, and I'm just gonna keep going.
So let's get to your message for other women. I mean, not everybody wants to become a personal trainer, but they can certainly benefit from your perspective. For women over 50 who want to get stronger and healthier, what are 2 or 3 things they should be doing?
Okay. Number 1, in nutrition, try to stay away from ultra-processed foods.
So what is a processed food?
Something like in a can or a box that has a million ingredients. You don't even know what they are. A lot of them are preservatives, additives. So always read your labels. Try to get something with the least amount of ingredients as possible.
Yeah, okay, and then what else? I mean, there are probably a couple of other things that people should be doing, not just about their diet, but just about exercise too.
Find exercise that you love and will do consistently, and also balance it out between cardio and strength. because we really need strength training as we get older.
Yeah, and why do we need that?
Build healthy bones, maintain muscle mass. You can actually, I believe you can build muscle mass as we get older.
I mean, it's not just you believe, really. It is absolutely possible.
Yeah.
Scientifically proven,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, and it's actually crucial.
It is crucial.
For anybody who may suffer from osteoporosis. And, you know, I wish that doctors would require their patients to test for osteoporosis earlier.
Yeah.
Because then women can make these changes to their exercise routines. I think we got stuck, you know, a lot of us grew up where, you know, it was all about burning the calories in aerobics in the 80s, you know? And so we think it's all about cardio. And you think if you're not doing cardio, you're not really exercising.
Right.
Well, so tell us, can you debunk that theory?
Yeah. I think we need to lift as heavy as possible doing functional movement patterns that we encounter in daily life, like hinging, pushing, pulling, all these things we should be able to get off the floor on our own, building that leg strength, being able to push something up over our heads, having strong core. All those things are so important.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people might think, oh, I don't even know where to get started. How would you advise somebody who doesn't even really know what it meant, all those things you just said you should do, right? Well, how should they get started?
You know, there's a lot of exercise videos on YouTube.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, and just pick something, you know, that's simple and maybe not too long. You know, maybe even 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Start with that. And then go from there and just find something that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah, yeah. And I know since I was diagnosed with osteoporosis in my lumbar spine, I've found some workouts on YouTube for that specifically. And I also find that they do burn the calories because my watch tells me the true story. So in terms of, you know, offering advice to women who are thinking, I want to do something different, what advice would you offer to them? They're stuck in some career that they're sick of or whatever. They want to do something different.
Well, you just, it's a tough transition, I have to say, but just listen to your inner voice. You know, what do you really enjoy doing? What's like pulling you towards a certain area? And then maybe do a little research. How can you, you know, just try.
And talk to people.
Yeah, talk to people and just.
But you said it was a tough transition. Can you just comment on that a little bit?
Yeah, so it does take commitment and you know, an internal drive to do it. I mean, you really have to have that desire.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because it does take work. You can't just become something new overnight. So, well, good. Then let's get on to a lightning round.
Okay.
Shall we? All right. My first lightning round question is, what's your favorite workout?
Do I have to just pick one?
Well, okay. How about your top 2 or 3? What comes to mind?
Okay. I love body pump because I do teach it, but I just feel so strong.
And so you're doing weightlifting in the body pump?
Yeah, so it's a barbell class and heavy, well, not moderate weights. So,
but and people need to work up to that too. They can't just start out with the super heavy weights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to do it safely, you have to work up to that.
Cool.
I love Body Attack because it's tough. And I get to do tuck jumps and burpees and
burpees. I don't like.
Yeah. It's fun. I don't know. I like it.
Good for you. Well, see, I would take your class. I should come and take your class because you have the right energy for me to do. What do you eat for energy?
It depends. So on a workout day, I will have some like complex carbs. Like in the morning, I'll just have like overnight oats with soy milk and some fruit, and that'll, you know, fuel me for the morning.
Yeah.
On a non-workout day, I focus more on protein and recovery, and so I don't know. I'll do some like Greek yogurt, and I make this nut granola. Has no carbs.
Yum yum.
Keto
I might
granola.
have to get that recipe. When you say on a non-workout day, so how many days a week do you work out?
6 days.
Yeah, no, me too.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, on a non-workout day, you try to pack the protein. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with getting the amount of protein they need at our age because they keep thinking, well, I just need to pile myself up with vegetables because they have no calories or whatever. But what I just want to ask a real quick lightning question about protein. What would you say are the top 3 great sources of lean protein?
Tofu's very good.
Yep.
I do like the Greek yogurt. That's really easy.
Yeah.
And like chicken or fish.
Yep. Those are the things I eat. I love them all. So what are you loving about life at age 60?
I love just having the freedom to do what I want. And I think that has been a blessing.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want at this age, and congratulations on achieving it. And is there a myth about being over 50 or over 60 that you'd like to bust?
I think people think that you just get old and get weaker, and that's totally not true.
Yeah. And even if somebody has some aches and pains, or they're getting over a surgery or maybe some other health setback, they can still build back and more.
Completely. Yep.
Wonderful. Yeah. That's a very hopeful story, both in terms of your transition as well as for us as women over 50 who sometimes it's easy to get discouraged in the health department at our age. Things happen and then you're like, oh, will I ever be able to do X again? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
But we have to do it in a thoughtful, planned way.
Yep.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much, Leslie, for this.
Thank you.
There's so much to take away from Leslie's story, but here's what really hit home for me. Reinvention doesn't have to be dramatic to be powerful. It starts with listening to that inner voice that says maybe there's more, and actually listening to other people's voices who maybe have an idea for you. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next brave step. I hope this conversation lit a spark in you the way it did for me. You are not too old, and it's not too late, and you don't have to settle. If this episode gave you even one idea or an ounce of courage, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And of course, go out and do something about it. And let me know in the comments what dream, idea, or passion you'd love to explore if reinvention were possible for you today. I'll see you next time, and I look forward to getting your comments. Keep thriving gracefully.